Hey guys, so the last tier list video that I made was the WuWa Resonator Showcase tier list, and I don't know how good that did yet because I'm recording this the day I recorded that video, so we have yet to see how that does on my part. But pretty much how this series is going to work today is we're going to go through every character that I played and have a basic understanding of, and I'm going to rank them based on how much I enjoyed playing them. Like, for example, just to start off, we're going to put both rovers in every single one of their types in C tier because every single rover is so boring to play. Like, every single rover, like, for Spectral Rover, it's just like there's two moves you can use and that's really it. And even then, like, it feels so slow. It's like using, like, what's it called? It's like using UC in PGR. It's, like, so boring. Not to mention with Havoc Rover, it just feels so weird to use. In Area Rover, although Area Rover is like the most enjoyable out of all of them, they're still a bit annoying to use. Like, every single rover is like good in their own way, but at the same time, just like not exactly fun. Now, Sanhua is really interesting. A while ago, I made a video titled like the real worst unit in WuWa, and that was about Sanhua. I meant that in that video. However, I really grew a liking this Hanwha because of when I did my Fallacy of No Return live streams, because a viewer told me to try using Sanhua with like Camellia, and it worked so well. Like, I mean, it worked so unbelievably well. Yes! Anytime Sanhua worked in a team where I needed a like sub DPS, and Sanhua was a unit that actually worked in that situation, like for Cartithia, it works so well. The rotation is incredibly fast, and I do damage so quickly. I really like using her now. Yin Wu is a very simple character because you pretty much just punch and like place things down. But one of the things that is really good about him is that you get a pretty decent amount of overshield when you ult, or just like when you just like do actions in general. He's a shield coordinated attacker and it's pretty good. However, I'm gonna put him in C tier above the rovers because although he is better and more fun to use in the well, not better, but he is more fun to use than the rovers in my opinion. Although he's not as fun as any of the other sub DPS on this list. And he also does, and that's like the only utility he really has, so yeah, it's kind of just like no reason to play him any higher. Now, Mortefi, although Mortefi really works in like pretty much one team, I'm pretty sure you can use Mortefi in like, let's see, you could probably use Mortefi in like a Phoebe solo team, like a Phoebe DPS team. But that doesn't exactly work well. Gion is Mortefi's best teammate, and they just work so well together. And whenever I do use Mortefi with Gion, it just feels so buttery smooth to use. And especially for the next year that I'm about to rank here, with Verena, I'm able to like swap characters constantly and make sure his concerto like meter is up very well. Like his the meter that you have, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the little circle thing you use as the indicator to when you could follow-up attack. And he fills up very fast, which is the most common thing across all sub DPS, but his fills especially fast if you use it correctly, and I like that a lot about it. Maria, like Shorekeeper, is a very versatile character. She's a very good starting healer because even if you don't have Shorekeeper, she's going to be the best healer. And even after you get Shorekeeper, she's still going to be one of the best healers for you. Because you're going to need multiple teams, and having Verena for those multiple teams is very good. Not to mention, in some situations, Verena is just better to use than Shorekeeper, like, for example, my Carlotta and Jaja team. It's just a lot better to use her because she does, like, follow-up attacks a lot faster than Shorekeeper does. So she builds up that energy a lot more quickly, and your DPS is able to attack more frequently, and it's very fun. As for Calcharo, I did use him a few times, but the thing about Calcharo is that he's a very skill-based character. Now, I'm going to put him in B tier for a few reasons. Being a skill-based character is not a problem because I like Changli. Changli is very fun to use whenever I decide to like use her and spam buttons. And when I do, it like usually works out pretty well. But the problem with Calcharo being a skill-based character is that he doesn't do enough damage. Like, his skill doesn't exactly compensate for much, and you would rather just, like, use easier to use DPS, or if you want to use him as a sub DPS, you want to use easier to use sub DPS because it's just a better option. Like, Unless I'm trying to challenge myself, which at the moment I'm not, why would I use Kalchara when I can use, like, Artefio, or I can use Zani, or I can use Carlotta? It just doesn't make any sense. Or if I want to use a skill-based DPS, why would I use him over Chang Li? It just makes zero sense. Now, as for Jianjin, like, the main problem with Jianjin is that she has no utility. Now, what I mean by that is that if you look at all the other characters on this list, she's a sub-DPS, or if you use her a certain way, she can be considered as a sustainer. But if you look at all the characters on this list, and you look at her kit, although she can be used with some characters, you would rather just use others. Like, again, although she's a 5-star over a 4-star with Mortefi, why would I use her in a Gion team when Mortefi works so much better with her? It just makes no sense. And why would I replace her as my healer when I can use Area Rover, or Verena, or Shorekeeper? It just makes zero sense. Ah, my boy Gion. Gion. Gion is the first ever limited character that I got, and can I just say that I still use Gion to this day. Now, in some situations, he doesn't exactly work as well as he used to. Now, however, he is still very fun and he does have his uses. He still does good damage too. So I'm going to put him above Sanwa because he is one of my favorite characters to use ever. Because it's just so easy. All you gotta do is get your stuff up and then use your ult. And the best part about your ult is that all you gotta do is click dash to get animation cancel and do more damage. And all you gotta do to build up his ult to make it even better is just do a few attacks, or better yet, just follow-up attack. And it's even easier if you know what you're doing. So, Gion's a very comfy character, he's very easy to use, and there's really no wrong with you using him. Now, Yinlin I'm going to put in the same tier as Kalcharo, but better, because Yinlin isn't exactly hard to use. The problem with Yinlin is that, again, with the same thing with Janjin, if you look at all the other sub-DPS on this list, why would I choose them over Yinlin? Like, although she is one of the best teammates for Zhang Liao, I did less damage with her, with Zhang Liao, than I did with using Zhang. Like, why would I use her over him? You know what I mean? And the same thing with Jin Shi, for example. I used Jin Shi with I forgot her name already. I used Jin Shi with Yinlin like a few times, but why would I use her over Zhezha when Zhezha's like so much easier to use for one, and two, Zhezha just gives better boosts. So why would I use Yinlin over her? Now, on the other hand, Jin Shi is just she's not for me, man. Now, I can see the purpose behind Jin Shi. She's a good turbo nuker, but just her playstyle is not my favorite. Every single time I have tried to use her playstyle like the simple way, I've always missed a crit, and although my stats aren't exactly that good, they're not terrible. It's not like my crit rate is 0 or like 10. Like, my crit rate's around like 50, and when I'm using Shorekeeper, it goes to like 60. So I should be critting like at least a few times, but every single time I do like her enhanced skill or her ult, I never fucking crit with her. It's just so annoying. Then again, to each their own. I see people do like very, very quick runs with Jin Shi, so good for them. God bless you. Chang Li is also a very interesting character, because like I said about Kalcharo, she's a skill-based character, but unlike Kalcharo, she has more use as a skill-based character because you can use her as a skill-based DPS or a skill-based sub-DPS. Both types of teams are pretty hard to use if you don't know what you're doing, but like if you have a ground understanding of the game, she's not too difficult. You might not be using her entirely correctly, but she's a very, very skill-based character, but not to the degree that Kalcharo is, because if you go to like most tier lists, you'll see that she's either an S tier or like an A tier because you need conditions to use her correctly. So she's a skill-based character that I like using in comparison to Kalcharo because she just has more utility than Kalcharo does in this day and age. Zhang Liao I'm going to put in the same tier as Zhang Li, but just like lower because I mainly use these two together. They're like butter and biscuit, pretty much. I don't even know if that's a term that people use. But I pretty much use them together every single time I run a Zhang Liao team. It's like Verena, her, and Zhang Liao. And the problem with Zhang Liao is that he doesn't put out as much damage as the other units. Now, granted, I do really want to learn the Shang Li quick swap. It does look very fun to pull off. But that is not something that I can do right now. I have gotten close to pulling it off before, like just by fluke. But like once I learn how to use them, I feel like they're going to be higher on the list. But as things stand right now, they're going to be an A tier. Jaja is another interesting character because you could use Jaja across a lot of teams, like Ada, Jinshi. Hell, I used Jaja with Gion one time, and hell, it worked. It worked very well. The thing I do like about Jaja, though, is that her rotation is very easy and very quick. All you gotta do as a basic rotation, get your 3 bars full on your concerto bar, skill, wait for all 3 bars to appear, dash, find some way to cancel it, dash, ult, dash, and then all you gotta do is use your echo and get out. It takes like probably 10 or 12 seconds. It's not slow at all. So in terms of placement, I'm gonna put her in A tier above Mortifi because she doesn't have as much fun. I don't have like much fun or like enjoyment with using her. It's just that she's very easy to use. Not fun like these characters up here, or just like very comfy like Farina is. It's just easy to use. Now, Shorekeeper, we're obviously going to put in the same tier as Farina, because Shorekeeper, she's a very comfy character. You can use her in every single team. If you look at the tier list and all that, if you look at recommended team comps, Shorekeeper is going to be there as one of the main supports or substitute. And it's very rarely that Shorekeeper's a substitute. Camellia I'm going to put above Gion because Camellia is my best character. I have the best stats with Camellia, well, besides Carlotta, because Carlotta has the highest crit damage. However, my Camellia, I use the best, and she has the best stats out of any character that I own. Because Camellia, I've been using her for a while. I use Camellia a lot. Any chance that I have to use Camellia, I do. And I practice with her so much that I learned her entirely on my own. Now, I did use like guides to like look up skills and all that. But I didn't look up combos or anything because at the time I wasn't like into combos and stuff like that. So I pretty much learned Camellia on my own. Not to mention I have her signature, so I'm kind of a dedicated Camellia user. Lumi I'm going to put in the same tier as Yinwu. But the thing about Lumi is that she's a little bit easier to use than Yinwu. And she's also a little bit more fun to use than Yinwu. Because you can use like multiple attack modes. It's very creative. But the problem with Lumi is that I don't know how to use her, like, at all. Like, I know how she works, I know how, like, her little stomp attacks and all that work, like her ult, her little ground pound with the hamster, but she's a bit complicated. And I don't exactly like that, because unlike the Shang Li or Shang Liao or Cao Char level of difficulty it is to use the character, it's not to a fun degree. And I only used her because I liked the way she looked, and I was gonna use her in a Jin Shi team because Jin Shi's like a nuker, we all know that. And I had like no other like characters to use for Jin Shi at the time, plus Yanbu was losing his status. So what the hell, I used Lumi. And I stopped using Lumi after I got Jaja on accident, so there's that. Rosia is a very, very fun character. It's like, whenever I use her, I'm gonna put her above Sanhua just because I like her. What is Sanhua? Now, the thing about Rosia is that with the Camellia team, or just like any teams like Camellia in general, Camellia's main weakness is that Camellia stays suspended in the air for a long time. So Camellia often doesn't hit her attacks. Rosia, if you're in a mode like Woodbring Waste, it makes it so the enemies come to you, so that the enemies don't exactly have the ability to run away. And that's very, very convenient for Camellia. Not to mention, just like pounding the ground and all that, and just using her is very, very smooth. It's not hard at all, and it's just a very, very simple character. If you were to just like mash around and use buttons, you'd probably figure out in 10 minutes without a training. She's not hard to use at all. Carlotta is very interesting, because from what I heard, Carlotta is a very easy character to use, and she really is a very easy character to use. But when I learn a character nowadays, I think it was past Phoebe that I started doing this. No, I think it was when... Yeah, it was Phoebe when I started doing this, because I wanted to learn combos and all that. So, when Phoebe came around, I tried to learn her the best way possible, because like her kit was a bit difficult, because I didn't know like how all of it worked. So I used Phoebe as like the start of my training arc where I started training a bunch of my characters and learning how to use them, the combos and all that. But although Carlotta came before Phoebe, I got Carlotta after I got Phoebe. So at that point, I already started adopting the mindset of, okay, so I gotta build this character's team, and then after I build this character's team, I gotta learn how to use this character. When the Tower University was around, I used Carlotta as a way of clearing, and holy shit, she performed perfectly. She didn't have the best stats in the world. Like, I think she was running like 36% crit rate and like 340% crit damage, which that may sound good with the crit damage, but with crit rate, that's bad. That's very, very bad. You need to have as much crit rate as possible. However, once I learned how to use a complicated combo with Carlotta, it made like her a lot more fun to use because I was doing things so quick and it made me feel good about myself. So in terms of fun to use, she's gonna go below Gion because Gion's just a very comfy character to use. Carlotta is a fun character, but she's not exactly a comfy character. You know what I mean? Like, Gion's very easy. All you gotta do is just mash buttons, then gather all the enemies up and kill them. With Carlotta, you gotta just freeze the enemies and shoot them and all that. And it's not exactly comfy, but like I said, it is fun. Phoebe is also very slippery, because the thing about Phoebe is that you can use her in two teams. You can either use Phoebe as a solo DPS, or you can use her in the Zani team. Now, the thing about Phoebe is that if you do not have a guy with Phoebe, she's going to be very hard to use. And the problem with using Phoebe is that if you use her in the Zani team, she's very easy. But if you use her in her solo DPS team, she is very hard. Like, you have to use, like, Spectre, Rover, and, like, Shorekeeper on that team. And the combo with that team is just very annoying. So I am going to put her above Jaja, but I'm going to put her in A tier because she has one team that's good to use and one team that's complicated to use. You know what I mean? Now, in terms of complication that's fun, we're going to go back to Brant because I mentioned him earlier. Brant, although he is complicated, I feel like once you do get the grasp of him, he's going to be very fun to use. And when I did like start understanding like how I would use Brant, he started becoming a lot more fun to use, like in like trial modes and all that, like the sensor tower or whatever it's called with the with the difficulty modifiers and all that. I used him with Chang Li and it was pretty fun, honestly. But I just gotta get used to the concept of like air combat because that is something I'm very, very like not used to. Like with Cancerella, with Cartethia, I'm still kind of adapting to it. But the only reason why I'm gonna like rank Brant like in the same tier as like Chang Li is because although he is a hard character to use that's fun, he's not as fun as Chang Li because he's not a playstyle that I'm entirely used to yet. I feel like that if I were to get him and I start using him more, or if I were to just like use him more and see more stuff on him, I would have more like fun with him. But as things stand right now, there is like no situation where I'm using Brant, so although he is a very fun character to use, he's a character that I really want, so I can use like Chang Li teams and all of that. He's not a character that I'm going to use he's not a character that I can use right now, so I'm going to keep it there, because I still have yet to understand. Now, Cancerella is a very, very interesting character. I'm going to put her behind Shorekeeper, but we're going to consider Cancerella to be a very, 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 very close S-, because Cancerella works in very, very few teams. Now, when she does work in some teams, she works well. Because with Cancerella, she has this ability to where when you enter a jellyfish mode, she heals you faster than any character heals you in the game. She heals you so fast, and I used that to my advantage when I was fighting Fleur-de-Lis for the first time, and it was very, very helpful, so I'm going to keep her there. Now, I feel like as more teams open up for her, she's going to become a lot better to, like, use some situations. Like, maybe you could use her with Denjin, because, like, Denjin, like, dies so much, and if you, like, heal her, then it's going to be very helpful. But I don't really know how Denjin works, so that's just a spitball. Cancerella is very, very fun to use, though. It's very simple. I'm starting to get the grasp of her, and as I am getting the grasp of using Cancerella, it is very fun to use, so I'm going to put her there for today. Zanny is another one of those characters that just feels very comfy to use, because Zanny is a very easy character. Now, debatably, I'm going to put her above both Camellia and Gion, Because the thing about Zanny is that she's a lot more comfy of a character to use than Gion and Camellia for two reasons. The first reason is that whenever you enter her awakened state, you almost never get knocked back, but you still take damage. The second reason is just like, oh my god, that greatsword is so fun to use. Like, it's so fun to use. Like, swing, 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 a billion damage, a billion damage, a billion damage. It's just so fun. It's so incredible to use. So I'm going to put Zanny there. Now, Chakona, although I don't have much information on, when I was using her, although I don't exactly have her, I'm going to put her below Cancerella because I don't exactly know much about her, but what I do know is that she's a very, very comfy character to use because when I was trialing her and I was using like Cartithia and all that, when I was using Cartithia with Chakona in the trial, it was not hard at all. All you have to do is like press a few buttons, and when it's ready, all you gotta do is use that into the field, and then you just use your character like as is. It's just not really that hard at all. Now, for Cartithia, it's very interesting, because with Cartithia, her combos are a bit hard if you don't know how to use her character, but once you do know how to use her character, she becomes an easy S tier above Camellia, because her damage is so fast. With the rotation that I use with like Area Rover and Sanwa, like I said before, it's Sanwa, she comes on so quickly, so it kind of makes me feel like I'm playing like a sweat, and it makes me feel really good. And just like Cartithia is one of my favorite characters, using Fleur-de-Lis form is just awesome. Like that spatial split that she does when she turns the screen black and white, it's so fun to use. So it's very, very easy to just put like Cartithia in like S tier with between like Zanny and Camellia. It's just like not hard to put her there at all, because she is like that fun to use. Now that is it for today's tier list video. I really did enjoy making this because it really does remind me of how like fun these characters are to use. It also reminds me that I really should pay more attention to some of these characters. Like, for example, like I really should learn how to use Dan Jin, like probably Ling Yang maybe, hell even Shishia. But like for characters like Cancerella, Rand, and Chakona, I really should learn how to use them, because they do look like very fun characters to use, or like very easy characters to use. I just don't exactly have them, so all I have is like minor experience that still can be counted as experience, because it's not like I didn't play the characters at all. I still have understanding of their kit, and I do feel like their ways about their kits and all that. So with all that being said, that's about it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like the video and subscribe for more Gacha Gaming content. We are on the road to reaching 500 subscribers, so subscribe to make that vision possible. Comment down below any feedback and what you want to see next, and be sure to check out my community tab for updates and polls for upcoming videos. And also be sure to check out my Discord for notifications of when I go live or when I post a video. Also be sure to check out my Twitter, shitpost, fun free creators, and also some dumbasses, so check that out as well. And with all that being said, I am signing off for now. Bye-bye.